Okay, so sometimes I have been addressing difficult and important issues, which is of course a big part of my calling, of my work, because I need to be bringing out things that are not acceptable, things that are narcissistic companies, for example, or people. So I have another story for you guys. So if you are a customer of Wolt and it is working for you, then of course, then this might not resonate with you. But I have seen many people complain about them. And I have been talking about narcissistic companies in my videos and posts. And so this seems to be another one. I have complained about their service before, but I did not get pretty much any of anything that would really be a true apology, because again, that was what I was taught when I have been working in retail and in customer service jobs throughout my life, in my years. I was taught that the customer comes first and you need to value the customer, and they bring the money to the table, of course, and that is, of course, what I apply to my clients. But I'm not amazed why many people, for example, here in Finland, well, I don't know about the foreign countries, the experiences of this company there, but here in Finland, people have been writing and complaining, talking. Sometimes what I've noticed, something about this, that there have been serious issues with one thing or another. And so today, just now, they closed my account. And I remember that some girl also wrote about this, or was interviewed in an article some time ago, that Wolt also closed her account for no reason. And what I experienced was really emotional abuse. It was clear narcissistic, coercive control. I was repeating myself, telling them that this behavior, this treatment is not acceptable, that you cannot talk to me that way, when it seems that they just have the need to be right. They have the need to have the upper hand, which is, again, of course, a very typical narcissistic trait to have. Narcissistic people cannot stand losing. They only want to be victorious. They only want to be right and have the upper hand, the power and control of a person or a situation. And so clearly, because I stood up for myself, this woman decided to close my account. And I was being a good customer, so they should have valued me. I was buying often from there when I needed, and it was handy in that way. Thankfully and luckily, there are other services as well that are delivering home nowadays, which I like to use from time to time. But of course, this was different in the way that it is the fastest one. So let's see if things change, but it has been the fastest one. So in that way, it is different, at least here in Finland. But yeah, so I just needed to share this if this resonates with anyone who's watching this video. And so I feel, yeah, if this resonates, yeah. And I just have the passion, again, of course, to bring out these topics, because apparently this is my mission, and I'm so against all of these principles that people practice coercive control on one another, which is very narcissistic. It is emotional abuse, and it is a serious thing. If you do not respect somebody's boundaries, if you do not respect somebody as a person, it is abusive. It is narcissistic, and it is not a healthy sign at all in a person if they cannot look in the mirror and say, sorry, I messed up, and you are right. Because this woman was messaging me, there was even like 2-3 hours time apart between her messages, and I had clearly set my boundaries with her, and also with the other people that were messaging me, because I was having issues with my orders today. So naturally I was saying about them and expressing my opinion like you should, because feedback is important, and it's not anything that should be used against a customer or a client. And this is so typical that when it is a narcissistic company, narcissistic people, they will practice coercive control on you when you express yourself. And it is so silly, it is so immature, because they lost a good customer, they lost money. And now I'm here talking about this. And so I even told that woman that in the worst case, I'm going to be reporting you to the police, because emotional abuse is a crime. It is a serious thing. You cannot just go around treating people as you wish, and I'm a paying customer. So of course I had the right to expect to be treated with respect. But yeah, this did not happen, and yes, I'm feeling disappointed a bit, but of course it's their loss in the end, not mine. And in case you need to hear this as support, huge signs that somebody is a narcissistic person and they are a customer service person, for example, they won't leave you alone. You tell them, stop, leave me alone, don't do that, don't talk to me like that. You set your boundary clearly in a normal, healthy, strict manner, just as you can. And they just won't let it go. They will keep on repeating themselves because they have the need to be heard, they have the need to be validated, they have the need to have the upper hand and be right. And of course this applies to every single person, because in the worst case it becomes stalking. Of course that was not the issue in this case, but nonetheless, it is very, very ridiculous, very immature behavior. And of course, these kinds of people tell on themselves. They tell on themselves when they act like that. So it is clearly that there are some issues in that person, and likely in the whole company, because usually a person says a lot about the entire company if their behavior is somehow disrespectful, somehow abusive. So likely there are bigger issues within that company. But nonetheless, it is a huge red flag if you set your boundary and a person just will not let it go. You tell them stop, you tell them no, you tell them leave me alone, let me be. I have a right to express myself, I have the right to be myself, who I am. I do not owe you an explanation, I do not owe you an apology, because I have not done anything wrong. But again, This is how a narcissistic person wants to make you feel, that you are the problem, you are the crazy one, you are the one with the fault, when you have not done anything. And of course, even more so if you are a customer or a client, they should respect you. And no salesperson, or if you're a company owner, whatever the situation is, but you're selling and marketing your services, you should not be pushy and push people around and disrespect people and pressure them into buying, for example. It is very fraudulent energy. But then there is also this, that you as a customer or as a client, you seek help and support with a situation, and they just attack you, and they just will not leave you alone. But that is also very pushy, very pressuring energy. And that alone can be very triggering for a narcissistic abuse victim. And again, because you are a narcissistic abuse survivor, a narcissistic abuse victim, likely since childhood when you are one of my followers, as a sensitive empath, highly sensitive person, Earth Angel, God's chosen child, God's chosen one, Starseed, and you also want justice, and you also want peace, and you also want clarity and respect among people, like I have always wanted as well. And so it is very difficult to be understanding these kinds of people, but that is why it's important to be spreading awareness, and that we can actually be clear about these patterns. But this is also a huge red flag and a huge sign of coercive control happening when somebody is wanting to and trying to pressure you into doing something that you don't want to do or you should not do. Like, what did that woman want from me? An apology? That I would have been a doormat in that situation and say that I am wrong when I'm not, when I was only seeking justice and giving feedback and wanting a normal adult conversation, if anything, and of course natural apologies. Like, seriously, it does not make sense. And, you know, why would a company treat its customers and clients in a bad way, in an abusive, disrespectful way? Because, you know, soon there will not be any customers or clients, and people go elsewhere, because why would they want to spend their money on something expensive that only is disrespecting you anyway, not even treating you with normal decency? So, you know, it really does not make sense when you think about it that way. Well, of course, we know that narcissistic people typically act like this, that they just gather supplies. They do not care about people. They do not respect people, because they're all about their needs and wants and their power and control, which is only speaking volumes about them. And so, because they operate this way, there will be many people who would tell the truth about them, who would say that, yes, this person disrespected and abused me. But again, a kind reminder and a fact that if somebody is practicing coercive control on you, pressuring you into doing something that you don't want to do, like that you should be apologizing, for example, or, you know, taking accountability, taking responsibility on their behalf when you have not caused anything. You have to understand that it is narcissistic abuse what is happening there, because that person is practicing power and control over you, because they are wanting to push you into doing something that you really should not be even doing. And of course, this is very typical Jezebel energy, because as chosen ones, earth angels, we can be bumping into the Jezebel spirit in people a lot. And again, what it wants is, it wants to manipulate, it wants all the power and control over people. And usually the spirit resides in narcissistic people. And so that is why we have to be aware of when it is happening, that we really don't want anything or should not want anything to do with these kinds of people naturally, because there is nothing good coming out of dealing with such people. And like I've been saying before in my videos, the number one way of how to know that you're dealing with a narcissistic person is that you're just being your authentic self and speaking your truth, expressing yourself and setting your healthy boundaries. They cannot stand any of these things, and therefore they can do such drastic things like this woman just did, that she decided to close my account instead of actually take accountability and responsibility like a grown woman in her position would, especially if she's a manager of some sorts. So of course, any mature, capable person, a stable, trustworthy, reliable person would have done that. And it is very typical that a narcissist wants to punish you if you set your healthy boundary, if you are being your authentic self, if you are just speaking your mind, speaking your truth, just normally communicating, expressing your feelings, emotions and thoughts, for example. So it is crazy that it can be even just a random stranger that does not know anything about you, but still they have the need to have all the power and control of the upper hand, and they cannot stand it if you are just being yourself and setting your boundaries and saying no. They cannot stand that, so they want to punish you. So it is so childish. But yeah, that was what just happened to me. And I wanted to share it here honestly. And I hope that this helps if somebody is going through similar things, maybe with this certain company or, you know, whatever the situation is. But anyway, a reminder that we should never be putting up with such behavior. It is never acceptable. So the problem is not you. If you are encountering these kinds of people who do not respect your boundaries, you cannot be blaming yourself for that, because they have the issues if they cannot respect you.